If you're planning to retire in the next few years and considering Mexico or the United States, this video might be of some use, maybe a little bit at least. Check it out. Hello, this is Jesús, Manuel, Mena, Garza. I hope you're having a really good day. In this video, I'm talking about retirement, something I'm contemplating to have with my wife in a few years. I am currently retired. You know, I have the usual, Social Security check coming in and my pension check coming in every month, and have a little 401k I haven't dipped into yet, and various savings we haven't dipped into yet. And of course, my wife has her savings, and she hasn't retired yet. She has her own little savings plan at work at the university. She's a professor at the local university and the head of the art department, in the art history department. So the thing with her is that she doesn't want to retire. She loves her job at the university. She wants to work till she's 85, maybe 90, if she had her choice. But I asked her, please retire in the next few years so we can do things together, do some traveling together, just sit around the house and have long conversations together, go out to dinner together, because she's really, really busy right now. So she relented, and then she decided, hey, let's 5 years from now. So in 5 years, I'll be 70 something, and she'll be just a few years behind me. So I look forward to retirement. So right now we're having the big conversation. In 5 years, where are we going to retire? We live currently in Fort Worth, Texas. It's a very nice community. I really like Fort Worth. But we live in a big house with a lot of lawn, a lot of maintenance, and a lot of stuff. And I'm getting sick and tired of maintaining all this stuff. So hopefully from our 3,000 square foot house, on a 15,000 square foot lot, we'll move to something smaller, more manageable. A smaller house, maybe 1,500 square feet, 1,200 square feet, 2 bedroom, maybe 1 bath, or maybe 2 baths. Something small, something we can handle, and less work for me. So we've been deciding if we're going to live in the United States or Mexico again. What I like about the United States is all my family's in the United States. About 9 out of 10 members of the family live in the United States. My brothers and sisters, all of them currently in the Bay Area. My brother lived in Florida, but he's now hanging out with my sister in San Jose, California. And of course, my wife and I lived in San Francisco, and we have a lot of friends in San Francisco, San Rafael, Mill Valley, and Santa Cruz, San Jose, and stuff like that. It's all great down there. We have a lot of family. So, and they all bought houses, and they all are doing very, very, very well. So that's one of the benefits of going back to the Bay Area or Northern California, somewhere nearby within a few hours driving distance, is that I can see my family and friends, the beach, in the mountains, and stuff like that. So that's one area we're considering moving. I also like the idea of moving to Tucson. There's some communities down there which are very, very nice and affordable. And one of the reasons I wanted to consider moving to Tucson is I don't have to mow the lawn anymore. It's all desert. Just let that stuff die. Put some cactus out there and just don't worry about it. Small house, just, that's how it is. So that's one of the things I like about the Tucson area. We also are considering Santa Fe, Taos, Albuquerque. We have a lot of friends who live in Albuquerque, Santa Rosa, in those areas. And it's a nice area. I like it. It has a lot of variety, mountains, lakes, snow. And we have friends down there. So these are some of the American options that we're considering. Of course, we can all end up moving up to Bangor, Maine, or Boise, Idaho. I don't know. We got 5 years to decide all this. My brother is a real estate broker. He bought a house about 10 years ago in Baja California, and it's a 3-bedroom, I think it's 2-bath house. Beautiful, beautiful house with a big yard. beautifully landscaped in a gated community. And he gave me the keys. I can go down there anytime. And it's we've been there several times, and it's fantastic. And then we have my wife's sister, who's the head of a Montessori school in Cancun. We were down there for Christmas, had a great time. What a fabulous community Cancun is. And it's right there on the ocean, a lot of touristy stuff to do, you know, essentially get drunk and go crazy down there. A lot of college students do that. I'm not much into that. But I enjoyed going to the beaches and doing a little fishing. It was fabulous. My sister-in-law has a pool in the backyard and a pool across the street. And it's a very affluent little gated community that she lives in down there. So there's a lot of places in Mexico that we're considering. Again, each has their own relative merits. Let's say, for example, Oaxaca. There's a lot of arts and creative types who live in Oaxaca. And you can just drive down the road for 100 miles and there's the beach. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. And so, you know, it's a great, great town. We've spent time there. We stayed down there for like 3 weeks. We enjoyed ourselves tremendously. Great infrastructure down there. We also stayed in Saltillo, and that's a beautiful town at elevation. You know, it was about 100 degrees in Texas, like it always is. And we went to Saltillo, and at elevation, it was fabulous. 75 degrees. It's a college town with several universities, and a beautiful downtown. And we love that little town. And of course, Cancun. I like Cancun quite a bit, but you know, it's too college, you know, spring breakish for me. You know, I like it, but I don't like it that much. So when you consider purchasing property in Mexico, if you're renting, you don't ignore this part. If you're 50 miles from the beach, there's special requirements. You actually don't really. You own the property, but you have to pay a bank every year a certain amount of money just to manage that property for you, because apparently they don't like foreigners owning property next to the beach. But once you go inside to cities like Oaxaca, San Miguel de Allende, and towns like that, Ajijic, it is no problem. You can just buy it outright and own it and give it to your kids when you pass away, or whenever you decide to give it on to somebody else. So each town has their own benefits. For example, Ajijic in Jalisco, it's at elevation and is known for their fabulous weather. Who wouldn't like winter weather in the mid-70s? You know, in the summer weather in the 70s again. You know, a funny joke, when we were down there, this person, it got down to like 60 degrees, and people, the Mexicans down there were wearing their jackets going, my God, it's cold. I'm going, yeah, it's not that cold. If you're an American, 60 degrees is no big deal. If you're from Minnesota, you go, man, that's t-shirt weather. So, you know, it's, you know, each culture has their unique, you know, qualities. Of course, San Miguel de Allende is an American town essentially. I think it's a quarter of the people down there are Americans. It's you can't walk down the street without bumping into an American. So let's discuss what are the benefits of living in the United States of America. My family's been in the United States since the 1700s. A long, long time. So I've been acclimated, acculturated. I watch football. I like to have my popcorn and, you know, hot dogs, nachos, and hang out in front of the TV, the big screen, and watch some NFL. I love my San Francisco 49ers. So, you know, I'm definitely acculturated into American society. You know, have friends and family that come from different cultures and different religions. I am an American, and I enjoy the benefits and freedoms we have. So, you know, again, living in America, you know what's going to happen. You know, when you buy property, you know what's going on. If you bought property before, you know, when you go to the doctor, you're going to pay too much. When you get your medicine, you know you're going to pay too much. And you know when you know what's going on. You are, you know, an American. You know what's going on here because you are a local. So that's good. You know, it's good stuff, but you know, it's all good, but it's expensive here. That's the key part for a lot of retirees. It's expensive here. When you retire, can you afford all those medical bills? When you retire, if you get hurt or injured or get some catastrophic disease, can you afford to live here? Probably not. Some hospitals, they have you sign over, they want to know if you own a house. They go, okay, you own a house, it's worth $350,000. That'll cover a month of our services. Come on in, we'll take care of you. A month later, you're homeless and living with your in-laws. So that's the American medical system. We got a terrible health insurance industry, and we got a terrible pharmaceutical industry that are predatory and are supported by all these politicians that they give a little cash to. They help them get elected. Compare that to Mexico. They have a lot of issues in Mexico. Yes, they absolutely have a lot of issues in Mexico. There's a lot of poverty in Mexico. There's drug trafficking in Mexico. Of course, they're trying to sell those drugs to Americans. They just got to get it across the border somehow. And these Americans will, love their coke and marijuana and amphetamines and all these other crazy drugs. Americans love that stuff. And these Mexican drug traffickers are more than willing to say, here it is. Go at it. So they're all fighting down there to get a piece of the American pie. And they're dying by the dozens, if not the thousands. But not all communities are like that. Just like not all communities are like the worst neighborhoods in the United States where you can't walk down the street and everything's dilapidated. People are fighting and shooting each other with guns, with assault rifles. And it's nuts, people. It's nuts in certain communities in the United States, be it Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, Miami, Atlanta, Fort Worth. There's this one neighborhood in Fort Worth, this certain neighborhood by the homeless shelter. It's the 5th nationally in homicides and crime in the nation. That's amazing. That's about 10 miles that way, but it's amazing how close you are to crime in the United States. As long as you're isolated, you live in a little gated community in your little suburbs, and you take a certain road to work and kick that certain road back, you have no issues. You don't go to that neighborhood. Same goes in Mexico. You don't go to that neighborhood in Mexico. As long as you live in a nice neighborhood and go to the nice shops and take that nice road, no problem. There are thousands of Mexicans living in San Miguel de Allende, an absolutely glorious little town. And there's hundreds of Americans living in towns like Ajijic, Oaxaca, like I said earlier. Having a great time, going to museums, hanging out with friends, going to nice restaurants, stuff like that. So what's the difference between an American in Mexico and a Mexican in Mexico? A Mexican in Mexico typically doesn't have as much money as an American. There are some very, very wealthy billionaires in Mexico, but the most common folk you're going to meet on the street aren't as wealthy as you. The wealthy Mexicans don't walk the street. They got their little certain neighborhoods, and the chauffeur that drives them there, and even probably got even armed guards to make sure they don't get kidnapped. So you're hanging out with the average Mexican who maybe makes $5,000 a year. They're doing okay. They pay their bills. So when a Mexican sees you, they see you as a rich American. Yes, they do. They see you as an ATM. So they say, would you like to buy these papayas? They're $2 a bag. You say, wow, such a deal. In the United States, I would have paid $5 for that bag. So you think, man, I got such a great deal. And of course, the Mexican family comes by and says, I would like a bag of papayas. They pay $1. So you're paying $2, they're paying $1. So every time you see a Mexican in Mexico, they see you, they're looking at you like, that's an American, with a lot of cash. A gringo with a lot of feria. So just because somebody smiles at you in Mexico doesn't mean that they're your new friend. There are friends, there's family, and there's business. In business in the United States, business in China, Japan, Philippines, business in England, France, and Germany, business in Nigeria and South Africa, business in Switzerland or Uruguay. They're going to smile at you because they're going to get money from you. Again, I have just an hour ago, somebody was trying to sell something, knocked on my door, wanted to sell it. They had the greatest little smile. And he told me first thing, I'm not trying to sell you anything. And and he showed me his business card, and I go, you're trying to sell me something, bye. So first thing you got to know, you will have to be a little more shrewd in Mexico. More shrewd than you because, people think of you as a wealthy American. So that's my bit of advice. My wife and I have traveled all over Mexico. We've gone, to Monterrey, Saltillo, Mexico City, Cancun, Ensenada, Oaxaca. The list goes on. And I've been, I've traveled to Mexico from a train in San Diego all the way to Mexico City. We've taken planes from Dallas to Cancun in Mexico City. We've taken buses all throughout Mexico. We've driven our cars from Texas through Mexico. We know Mexico. We enjoy Mexico. We love Mexico. And we want to be a part of Mexico. But then again, we might just stay in the United States and just visit once in a while. So these are choices we're going to have to make. So you're going to move to Mexico. You have to, first of all, say, hey, what can I do in Mexico that I really want to do in Mexico? If you're just going down to just have a cheap house and cheap medicine, that's not enough. You're going to have to say, what am I going to do down there? You're going to play golf? Maybe you want to live next to a golf resort. If you want to just hang out and have coffee and breakfast in the morning at a local cafe, buy a house next to one of those cafes and you should have a great time. Maybe you want to live by a beach and you want to rent a house by a beach or a condominium. That's a possibility too. You have to decide what you want out of Mexico, what you want out of life. So what do I want out of life? I'm confused all the time, even though I'm over 65. I'm 66 years old currently, and I don't really know what I want. Sometimes I'm totally, utterly confused. I'm supposed to know what it's all about at this time in my life, but I still don't know. I would love to live in Northern California. That'll keep things simple. I can drag all my furniture, my sofas, my chairs, my leather sofas and my chairs and my stereo system, my big screen TVs, and just drag them down there, all my paintings, all my supplies, all my cameras, and just take it, take it all to wherever I want to live. In Mexico, taking all your stuff, it might be a little difficult. There's a lot of shenanigans at the border and on the way down there. It might not make it from point A to point B. Things happen, So, I can always get a U-Haul in the United States and just go somewhere and fill it up, and, it might take 2-3 trips, but I can do it. And of course I have a truck. I can take a trailer behind it. So is it easy? Not necessarily. For some people, they sell all their stuff and give it to their children and grandchildren and say, hey, take it all. I'm moving to Mexico. I'm going to live the Mexican life and have a great time down there. Yeah, you can do that. I don't know if I want to do that. I guess I can take my camera equipment and some clothes, but I don't want to get rid of all my stuff that I've accrued over my life, my material possessions. I'm not much of a Buddhist, are I? I'm not definitely a Buddhist. My wife has studied Buddhism. She's better at that, but then again, maybe not. So going to Mexico requires, creating new infrastructure. In the United States, if you have already some sort of infrastructure, you can just move it down the road and just plop it right there. So that's my video. Hope you enjoyed it. I was rambling quite a bit. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, even though I was rambling. I'm just giving my opinion. This is my opinion, my analysis from my experience of traveling to Mexico since I was 11 years old. I were going across that border, and I've been to Mexico many dozens of times and spent months upon months down there. It's a great place if you're if you want to live in Mexico. I would love to live in Japan too. I've always wanted to live in Japan. And of course, living in Paris would be nice, and Bruges. You know, those are all nice towns. I'd love to live in Sydney. Why not? But I can't afford them. Mexico's down that road there, and it's much more affordable. It's more affordable medically for me. I can buy my meds cheaper down there, and healthcare is cheaper down there. Doctors are cheaper down there. Housing is cheaper down there. Food is cheaper down there. Everything is pretty much cheaper down there. So, you can want somebody to wash your clothes and clean your house and mow your lawn. It's cheap. So I appreciate you checking out my video. Don't forget to like again, subscribe, and share. This has been Jesús Manuel Mena Garza. Gracias. Adios. Bye-bye.